This is WAEC June 2023 General Mathematics Paper 2, and we are answering question number 8. And the question reads, question number 8 says a copy and complete the table for values of this function y equals to 2x squared minus x minus 4 for range of x starting from minus 3 to 3. Question number B says using the scale of 2 centimeter to 1 unit on the x-axis and 2 cm to 2 units on the y-axis. You are asked to draw the graph of this function y equals to 2x squared minus x minus 4 for the same range of values of x given here in this table. And the question number C asked you to use the graph that you have drawn to find Roman 1, the roots of the equation y equals to 2x squared minus x minus 4. Roman 2, the value of x for which y increases as s increases. And the last question, Roman 3, you are asked also from your graph to find the minimum value of y. These are the questions that we're going to answer in this very question. So let's attempt to answer these questions together. Solution to this very problem. Starting with the very first question, that is question number A, that we are now asked to copy this very table and complete it. Completing it means finding the missing values of y. So starting with this missing value of y, when x is minus 2, what will now be y here? What we simply do is to go to your function, this y equals to 2x squared minus x minus 4, replace the x there by minus 2 and simplify what you have finally will now be the corresponding value of y when x is minus 2. So let's do it together. So replacing x by minus 2 here, I'm going to have 2 times minus 2 square. Minus 2 square gives me positive 4. That positive 4 multiplied by 2, that gives answer 8. Then minus 2, which will also be positive 2. So I have 8 plus 2. That will give answer 10, and 10 minus 4. So the end result is now going to be positive 6. So I'll also substitute x by minus 1 to find y here. Let's do it together. Replacing x squared by minus 1 square. So you now have minus 1 square, which gives you positive 1. Times this to 2, you have 2 positive. Then minus 1, which would now change it to plus 1. So you have 2 plus 1, which gives you 3. And 3 minus 4. The result finally would now going to be minus 1. So I'm going to write minus 1 here. So next is when x is 1, what will be y here? So replacing x by 1, so you're going to have 1 square, which is 1 times 2, which gives you 2. Then minus 1, 2 minus 1 gives you 1. Then 1 minus 4, the end result is now going to be minus 3. So I also did the same to find what will be y when x is 2. So if you now substitute correctly and simplify when x is 2, you now have y as the 2 there also, and you now replace the x by this 3. If you did correctly, you now have y as 11. This is our table is now complete. So we have answered question number A. So next is to answer question number B. We are asked to draw the graph of this function y equals to 2x squared minus x minus 4. So to draw graph, this is our graph paper. It is usually provided in your answer booklet. So what you do to draw the graph first is to draw the axis. We have our table complete, so draw the x and y axis. So starting with the x-axis, I will now have my x-axis like this. I have some few negative values and some few positive values based on my table. You can see x starting from minus 3 to 3. So your table must have all these x values there. So this is my x-axis, which I used the scale given. It says 2 centimeter to 1 unit. So from this 0 to this 1 is 2 centimeters. From this one to next unit is 2 centimeters. So each unit is now represented by 2 cm. So I'll now draw my vertical axis, that is the y-axis. The y-axis, this is my 0 on the x-axis, so I'm going to draw it to pass through this 0 and also number it using the scale given there. It says on the y-axis 2 cm 2 units. So in each 2 centimeter would now be 2 there. Look at it, from 0 you have 2 centimeters and this is 2. Next 2 centimeter will be another 2 units, which gives you 4. Next 2 centimeter will be another 2 units, which will be 6, like that. So what remains is to now use the values there to plot it in this graph. So starting with the very first value, when x is minus 3, y is 17. So this is x minus 3. You now find the y 17. Y 17, this is y 16. So next division, next line will now be y 17 exactly. So I'm going to make a small mark there. This is x minus 3, y 17. Let me do that. This is the mark. So you move to the next point when x is minus 2, y is 6. X minus 2, y is 6, where the 2 crosses. If you move here, y is 6. If you go down, x is minus 2. So you also make a small mark there. Look at it. So next is x minus 1, y minus 1. X minus 1, y minus 1 is now going to be below, somewhere here. Look at it. So I'm going to make a small mark there. So I'll now plot other points like that. So x0, y minus 4 will be x0, y minus 4 will be here. x1, y minus 3 will be here. x2, y2 will now be here. And x3, y11 is now going to be this very point. So having plotted all the points, what remains is to now join those points using smooth curve. You can use freehand if your hand is not shaking, or you can use broomstick or your French cup. All is needed is to have a very smooth curve. So if you now draw this curve, it's now going to be like this. Look at it. Look at the curve. The curve must now pass through all the points. So this answered question number B, that we have drawn the graph of this function y equals to 2x squared minus x minus 4. So next is to answer questions from this very graph, and the very first question says roots of the equation y equals to 2x squared minus x minus 4. If you look at this function, is exactly the graph that we have drawn, y equals to 2x squared minus x minus 4. So which means the roots of this is now the places where this very curve crosses the x-axis. You can see it crosses at this very point, and it also crosses at this very point. So the value of x at those 2 points will now give, or will now be the roots of this very equation. So the roots of this very equation would now be, you now try to estimate what will now be here. This is minus 1. There are 10 small divisions from minus 1 to this minus 2. So each small division is now going to be 0.1. So if this is minus 1, moving down here, this is somehow 2 small divisions, so it's now going to be minus 1.2. And estimating this is 1 and this is 2, so this will be 1.5. 2 small divisions also after this 1.5 will now be 0.7. So the roots will now be x minus 1.2, that is the value of x at this very point, or x equals to 1.7, the value of x at this very point. These are my roots. So move to Roman 2. Roman 2 says we have to find the value of x, for which when y increases, x also increases. On this your curve, something happens between x and y. If you are now going down, the value of x is increasing, while the value of y is decreasing. After this very place, look at it. This is where the curve turns up. So at this very point, when x increases, y also increases. So it is from this x value up to whatever value that you have by the right. It is those values of x that happens as x increases, y also increases. So therefore, we are interested in the value of x. So you now write for x greater than 0.2. It is the value of x here at this point where the curve turns up. The value of x there is 0.2. So from that 0.2 up to anything greater than that 0.2, if x increases, y also increases. So this is the answer. So last question is the minimum point of y. The minimum point is usually where your curve turns up. So the value of y at that very point now gives the minimum value of y. This is where the curve turns up. And if you now move to the y-axis, this is a little a little below this minus 4, which means this is somehow going to be minus 4.1. So that will now be the minimum value of y. So you now write the minimum value of y is now going to be y is minus 4.1. This answered all the questions. Let me just share with you quickly how this question is now marked during the marking of this very paper, WAEC 2023. So the very first mark is the bonus 2 marks, and this bonus 2 marks, you have this bonus 2 marks when you now completed this table accurately. For any wrong entry here, it is now going to be minus half a mark. So the next mark is drawing the axis accurately using the given scale x and y axis. You have this bonus 1 mark. And when you now plotted the points on the table and you joined them using smooth curve, you have this B3 marks, you have this 3 marks. And for any point that is wrongly plotted, it is now going to be minus half a mark. So the next mark is the method 1 mark in attempt to find the roots of that very equation. These values that you have written must now be read from the graph. So reading it, you have this method 1 mark. And when you now have the values, all this correct, minus 1.2 and x equals to 1.7 accurately, you have this A1 mark. So the next mark is another method 1 mark for just reading from the graph where the curve turns in attempt to get the x value, range of x value for which y increases as x increases. So if you are reading from that graph where the curve turns, you have this method 1 mark. And for those that have exactly 0.2, you have this accuracy 1 mark. And the next is another method mark is for determining the minimum value of y where the curve turns. If you are now reading from your graph, you have this method 1 mark. And when that value is now minus 4.1, you have this accuracy 1 mark. So in total, this question has 12 good marks.